What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Kajagoogoo. And once again, shout out to Han Solo for helping me start this deep dive, as well as Marvin, a recent member and full paid member on my Patreon, who mentioned he was enjoying the Kajagoogoo reactions in addition to Alphaville. And yes, ultimately we're going to listen to another track from the White Feathers album, 1983, though I do have to note the folder I'm working from seems to have the tracks in a slightly different order than the master release on Discogs, and of course, as I mentioned in previous Kajagoogoo reactions, I reacted to a few of the songs from this album when I was going through a greatest hits compilation, so I'm jumping over those so as to not repeat them. But the next track, is it Hang On Now? Do I have that right? Yes, Hang On Now. So yes, to hang on is to persist, endure in trying circumstances, whether literally hanging on by the grip of your hands, or perhaps more commonly, conceptually, figuratively, the idea of not falling off or falling by the wayside in trying environmental circumstances. So to do so now sounds like a plea, a request, a command, the idea of not giving up, the idea of not giving in and enduring even if it is difficult, even if it's hard to keep your grip. Whether, again, we're talking literally or figuratively. Obviously, sometimes songs operate on two levels, where the visual imagery is a more literal take of a phrase like that, but then conceptually it could be about psycho-emotional attitudes and so on. Nevertheless, I'll see what I can catch on the first listen. This is Kajagoogoo. The track is Hang On Now, and it's from their 1983 album, White Feathers. the perfect opportunity to fade. Which people who know the channel will know that's a bit funny, because when I started doing these reactions, I often talked about how fade-out endings were very weird to me, and over time I've come to understand that there are certain situations where maybe one feels more appropriate than at other times, and certainly a longer, more gradual fade hits my ears and brain more properly than a sudden drop-off type of fade. But yes, it felt like it was either going to start fading or maybe go one more chorus repetition around and then cut off. But yeah, so number one, there's a couple moments there where it's like, it's reminding me a bit of the like early mid 80s, like Thompson Twins or Spandau. It just kind of has that early to mid 80s, like nighttime synth pop type of feel to it. Sonically, I enjoy those like chime or like bell type synths very high. I like that little jazzy piano or like keyboard flourish in the latter half of the track. And definitely some cool like synth bass, or at least like lower end synth type of flourishes, especially notable in the chorus. And yeah, lyrically it sounds like someone who's trying to rekindle or reinvigorate a relationship that's maybe at a breaking point, openly wondering, is there something between us? Is there something that's leading this to begin to fall apart and maybe you to fall away? And so he's saying like, hang on girl, hang on now. So he's requesting that the other person in this intimate or at least psycho-emotional relationship not give up and to, stay with the idea, and he's trying to find ways to reignite the love and to perhaps use his love as a template, saying, you need to follow what I'm doing here, let's not give up on this. So yeah, it sounds like a tune with a bit of hope, but acknowledging the complicated circumstances that they're in. And as I said, it just really has that early to mid 80s feel. So, 83 sounds sonically exactly where this is. And that's not necessarily to say that it sounds dated, just that it gives off that like 80s synth pop kind of vibes, which, again, for me, born in 1980, I was very young when a lot of this music was coming out. And even though some of it I didn't hear until the next few years after that, because again, I had an older sister especially, but also to a lesser extent an older brother who was, I had an older sister and an older brother who were listening to this kind of music. My sister maybe a bit more than my brother, who was, also into like classic rock and stuff from the 60s and 70s. But yes, and over the next few years I would begin hearing a lot of stuff from the early 80s. And so when I hear stuff that has that early to mid 80s sound, it makes me very nostalgic, even in some cases where it's pretty clear that I never heard this tune before. So yeah, as I said, I enjoy some of the sonic elements, I enjoy the sentiment of the tune. It's not like the biggest vocal performance I've heard from Kajagoogoo so far, but I think it's very much in the type of sound, again, that sort of like nighttime, we're speaking of emotions, but in a nuanced or complicated way, not just in a light and happy way, so it feels like they fit the sentiment or the attitude of the tune quite well. So yeah, as I said, there's tunes that are seemingly in a different order on the Discogs master release, meaning Ergonomics is shown as being before this one on the Discogs master release, but here, This Car Is Fast comes right after this one, and then Ergonomics, and then Fryo seems to be the last tune on both versions. So either way, we'll go through those because I don't think I've reacted to any of them. But the rest of the album that I sort of jumped ahead of, Lies and Promises, the self-titled track, Ooh to Be Ah, I've reacted to all those. So yeah, we only have now 3 more tracks and then we'll be done with this album. So once again, shout out to those who've been following this deep dive. Do let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.